Hi, everybody. Well, Shanti, thank you for making this happen. And Fernando,
Yeah.
I know you guys work together, so thank you both.
Yeah, super excited to dive in with you.
Yeah. Where are you guys at?
So we are out of Redwood City. We have a couple different locations for our beach program as well in the East Bay and in Alameda.
That's rad.
And we play tournaments in Santa Cruz.
Of course you do.
Yeah, so we're potentially planting seeds to host a P1440 tournament. If not this year, then next year. But yeah, that would be really awesome if we could get that going.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
I'm coming. So I grew up in Saratoga. So I'm coming home, I think in like 2 weeks, and I'll be training at West Valley. I can't wait.
Awesome. Where did you go to high school?
I went to Midi in San Jose, Archbishop Midi.
Cool. Yeah, I have some good friends who went there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be pulling some questions from our players today. We had a lot of people respond, and there are a lot of curiosities they have for you. And so if you don't mind, we'll just dive right in.
I will do my best. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so the first question I have is around balancing time. You have a lot going on in your life, obviously, and we have some people who are curious, how do you balance your time between family and training and business in a 24-hour period?
Yeah, I love this question because it's just universal. I think anyone at any age deals with this. Something that certainly helps me is that I know what my priorities are. And since I know what my priorities are, I can schedule my days to, hold on, I got a piano player all of a sudden. So if I know what my priorities are, so for me, it's my faith, my family, my career. And those are very simple buckets that I want to fill, but they're very full. And so how I manage it all is just, I know what I want to achieve in each of those buckets. I make them my priorities, so they become my filter through which I say yes and no to things, right? Like if I'm super busy, I will not take anything on unless it fills one of those buckets. And then I just go to work. And then if I ever feel unbalanced, I take a moment and I realize, like, what am I not servicing here? Am I disconnected from my family? Am I spending too much time in work? Am I spending too much time with my family and feeling anxious about work? Or am I just detached from myself and my God? So I have this process that I go through to find balance. But ultimately, again, I know my priorities, and then I really work really hard on my scheduling to set myself up for success. Like I'm a really big believer of doing the hardest thing right when you wake up. Get that out of the way, and it's kind of the same thing with your priorities. If you tackle that stuff, I know you guys have school and we have life and work and these things, and you can't always create your best schedule. I feel like one of the best gifts of the time of COVID is that it's like we have so much freedom to create our best schedule. So regardless if you have school or other responsibilities you have, it's your duty, if you want to achieve something in life, to set yourself up for success outside of that. And to me, that just means plan your life where you're going to be able to show up for volleyball with all your heart and excited, not where like, oh my God, I'm so tired, or you're just bleeding everything into the other. Be mindful about your scheduling. And if you can, knock it all out early and get it all done, and really be there. I think that's a good strategy also. Because if you wait till the end of the day, do you ever get it done? I don't.
I think that's awesome advice. I love that. Thank you so much. And now that we are like in full force of the pandemic, I'm curious, like, how does your schedule change? You said we have like the full freedom to create whatever we want. What does that look like for you right now? What does training look like?
Yeah, well, thank goodness for the couple things I do have in my schedule, because what I realized is that without a schedule, I'm like literally a boat without a rudder. Like I'm lost. Like my life is so regimented. And it took me like 2 weeks to figure out, oh my gosh, there's an opportunity here, not to feel victim to the situation. And so I took it upon myself to go to bed early so I can be a morning person. And then I set up my days. And so every morning I wake up early, I do my meditation and make sure I'm on point with my mindfulness training, because if I can be on point there, I can deal with the frustrations of the pandemic that are totally out of my control. Something that is reinforced and has been my whole life is that on the court, off the court, in challenging times and uncertain times, it's my duty to focus on what I can control. And so this has been an exercise in that. I do everything but play volleyball right now. So I'm strength training 2 or 3 times a week. I have a really wonderful home gym. Thank goodness we have that. I'm on the sly seeing a couple trainers, but we're being very smart. I've had 2 beach workouts since they closed down the beaches in March. I just had one today and then one end of last week. And so I'm starting to get back in the sand. I do my mobility training 3 times a week. And then really, aside from, training my mind, it's like training my habits, because I can snack all day long. Like I'm being exposed. All the weaknesses in me are being exposed, which is such a gift, because now I know what I need to work on. But I'm realizing that I am my habits. And I knew this in volleyball in a high performance sense, but in life, like I need to be mindful of what I surround myself by, because I will indulge. And again, if I'm not mindful of my time and how I schedule it, I will waste an entire day, and then I'll feel guilty, and none of that serves me well. So I'm more mindful when I'm shopping. I'm more mindful with my scheduling. And then when I am like in a dedicated task, I like take a moment and be like, okay, I want to kick ass in this. I want to be great in this task. How do I want to show up? And then I just commit to putting all of myself there for the hour, however long it takes.
That's awesome. And it's so cool to hear that, like, we're not the only ones that have temptations. I know that I experienced that as well. And with all this time, it's so easy to just indulge, like you said, but it's good to hear that that's something that even you struggle with, and it's something that you also need to push through.
Very, very, very human.
Very human.
And, I think indulging is okay as long as there's no guilt. But if there's guilt, something inside of you is like, that's not going to serve me. So I think that's the interesting dance we all got to do.
Yeah. So what is it that motivates you to stay on track and to do your training and to become a better volleyball player, even when you're not playing volleyball necessarily?
Well, to be honest with you, Shanti, it's been really hard. Like my mindset shift, like I understand everything. I've kind of surrendered to the situation because I don't want to be victimized. And there's a quote that I love. It says, you cannot be a victim and a master at the same time. And I love that quote. And I really believe that in any situation, it's your job to act like you chose it. Because if you act like you chose it, it's like volunteering for something. You're mentally and physically equipped to handle it. But if you sit like, oh, I have the situation I have no control of, you're going to be victimized. You're going to be stuck there, like literally just kind of a whipping post. And so what I did when all this stuff started happening, I changed my mind for season, and that took all the pressure off. But the motivation has been different. Like the motivation for me now, since I can't be as physical as I normally would be this time of year, is literally like I'm trying to heal. I'm trying to heal physically, which I was feeling great before, but it's like, who else is, like I've never had this time in my entire career since I started playing when I was 10 to literally sit and get strong in certain ways, but to heal largely. So that's a really big gift. And then I'm just trying to like look in the mirror every day and be like, what is holding you back? Like, what are your fears? Why are they there? And I really just want to shine a bright light on all these dark places in me, because then I'll realize they're not as scary and I'm not as I think, or I'm not as big of a failure, or whatever I have in my head. So I'm really trying to use this time purposefully, because I want to win that gold medal next summer. I want to be the best I've ever been and be the best in the world. And to me, the physical stuff, it's not easy, but like I have all the tools. And now I just need to like get rid of everything in my way mentally and emotionally so I can be present to be the greatest I can be, So that's what I'm really doing in this time.
Thank you for that. It's so striking to me how humble you are. Like, you are such an accomplished player, but you can't miss how much humility you hold yourself with. And I find those two often don't come hand in hand. And so I'm curious, what is it about your character that you're able to push yourself to be the best volleyball player that in the world, while also remaining so humble and grateful for other people and their contribution to your path?
Well, I think you're seeing the best of me, so thank you for that. I think you just said one of the most beautiful words ever is gratitude. Like that leads every day, whether I'm in a terrible, hard situation or not. Like I'm wired and I was raised to like focus on that and to focus on the good. And that inevitably gets you through the hard things faster. The humility comes from the fact that I know who I am. I'm not ashamed of my limitations. I've had shame in the past of my failings until I was able to learn from them and really own them. But I'm just a student, and I know I don't know it all. And I love being a student. It makes me curious about my potential. Makes me inspired by other people and open to learning from other people. And I don't know. I think it's part nature, part nurture. And then certainly as an athlete, studying masters of the game in so many realms, the masters are forever students, and they know that there's a million ways to the top of the mountain, and they've just found their way, and it's their job to shine a light and to make the path, and everyone else is going to go off-roading and do their own stuff. And I want to be that, so I study people who I respect, who show up consistently. I think consistently performing at a high level is what mastery is, and I'm so far from that. And I know that, but I want it and I believe I can have it, and all that stuff I think leads to humility. It's motivating, it's inspiring, it's all these things.
Well, I know that there's a lot of us on here that would disagree and would claim that you are in fact a master, but it's refreshing to hear that even the masters have things to learn and there's always more growth to be had.
100%. Real quick, Mia Hamm, do you guys know who Mia is? Soccer player. So she was like Michael Jordan of soccer, right? And I just saw her, she did a podcast with one of my dear friends, and I love Mia. She lives in the same town as we do. And she was saying, the only people in her experience, there was this awesome quote that I need to write down, but basically the gist of it was only mediocrity is full of themselves. And that's what keeps them mediocre. It's like the masters, the best of the best, have self-doubt. And that self-doubt, instead of minimizing them, it's a utility, it's a tool, and it lets them drive them, and it was so cool to hear Mia say that, because if you know anything about Mia, she is so stoic, she's so gnarly, such a Jedi. And for her to say that, like, so basically she owned that she had self-doubt when she was the best in the world times a billion. Like, for me, who I knew that, but it was cool to hear her say that,
Yeah. Was there ever a time when you considered quitting volleyball, or did you always have this motivation to keep going?
No, I mean, not seriously. Like when I was 30, I'm 41 now. I started playing when I was 10. When I was 30, I was so ready to have babies. Like I had been playing professionally for almost 10 years, and my life started to feel trivial. The life of a pro athlete, you're pretty self-absorbed, and your focus is like solely on yourself. And I had my love, my man, and we were, I loved him, but largely it's like he's doing his thing, doing the same dream that I was trying to chase, and I'm doing my thing. And it was all so self-centered, and it felt shallow. And we got married, got pregnant, had a miscarriage, and I had to wait a couple of years to try to get pregnant again. And I was just so ready for more. And I kept like, I'm ready for my life to begin. Like that's something I kept saying to myself. And had I any self-awareness, I would have been like, look, it is what it is. Have fun on this journey. And then your life is now, basically, So that's the only time where I was like, this feels trivial. But then I had my babies, and I'm like, I'm so renewed. I so appreciate my body. I appreciate being a woman in this life I'm living. Like it gave me a second wind for sure. And then when I transitioned from beach to indoor, I just had a real tough experience in my first Olympics when I played indoor. Just was something that really broke my heart, and every heartbreak has led me to something better and something that totally unexpected. Like whether it's in a romantic relationship, totally devastated, I found my husband. Indoor volleyball broke my heart, I found beach. So all, certain heartbreaks where I thought I was going to die, or I thought I was just not going to be able to, carry on, always led me somewhere better. They never made me want to quit, but things shifted,
And man, it is so hot where I am. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get
It
some
looks
breeze
so
here.
pretty.
It is really
Oh.
pretty, but it's toasty. Okay, so what is your favorite volleyball memory? Can you share a vivid volleyball? I know you have so many, so
I
I'll give
do
you
have
a
so
second.
many.
But what's one that comes to mind right now?
Well, my time at Stanford was incredible. If I'm going to pick an indoor one as well, Stanford was just, I mean, you guys live in heaven. Like, it's just the best ever. Loved it. It was my first big dream come true, getting a scholarship there, playing for 4 years, being surrounded by just world shapers and inspiring humans on every level. That was huge for me. My biggest volleyball, like on the court moment, was winning gold in London. Actually, it was a semifinal match in London that led us to winning gold. We were getting our butts kicked by China in the semifinal, 14-7 game one. And I just remember, and it was our final Olympics together. Misty was going to retire. If you guys know Misty, who I'm sure you do, she's incredible. And I remember looking at her and being like, Misty, they're not comfortable. Like, we can do this. And it was just the start of the raddest rally. And like, we became us, like the us we knew, and like the unbeatable team. And we won that match, and we won gold eventually. But it was just such a cool coming together with a woman I love so much. And we had been through so much at the time. And, to go out on top with her was just as it should be.
I love that. Thank you. My next question for you is about your injury with your shoulder specifically. I know that you were struggling with that for a little while. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like and what the path back to health was like for you?
Yeah, I think we have a bad connection. So if it's me, I'm so sorry. Are you okay on your end?
Yeah, I think I'm good, but I've been having some Wi-Fi trouble, so
Yeah.
it could be me as well. I'm good right
Okay,
now.
good. Okay, good. Okay. Well, so injuries. I've had 6 shoulder surgeries. My first 2 were at Stanford, and they were elective surgeries. Like, I was unstable, but I was 18 and 19 at the time, and I was still growing. Like, I literally grew in college. I hit puberty at the end of my junior year. So I was super late bloomer. And I had these 2 surgeries, and it set me up for the 4 that followed. And it was just gnarly. Some things that I learned is that, like, with every injury, you have to address it. Like, you cannot just have surgery and just expect to go back to normal. Like, you have to love it and nurture it and invite it back to your body. For so long, it took me like 35 years to realize that with every injury, like, there's an emotional component, and you have to like literally invite it to be part of the whole system. And in order to heal, you have to address that what made it vulnerable. A lot of us, when you get injured, you just focus on the one part. But my right shoulder is like connected to the pinky toe on my left foot, so you have to work on the whole system. And that's something that people don't do, and I highly recommend that to you guys. Just train yourself holistically, body, mind, and spirit, but also just as a whole organ, or whole unit in your body is huge. I learned that with injury, there's so much opportunity to add new tools to the toolkit. It made me a more creative player. It made me more appreciative of my body, made me more resilient. My mom, after, in high school, I was told I'd never play again because I had a stress fracture in my back. And then after my surgeries at Stanford, they're like, you're probably done pretty soon. And, it just, our bodies, what I know 100% is that we are meant to heal. Our bodies and our spirits like guide everything, no matter what the doctors say. I don't care if you have stage 8 cancer, like, you can heal from that. That's how we're built. You have to believe it, and you have to go to work and be proactive. And again, you can't be a victim and a master at the same time. And with every injury, I'm like, I'm taking responsibility for this, and therefore I'm going to master the situation, and be accountable for it. And every injury has just reinforced that in me. I played against the world's best with only my left hand. I played a whole season at college playing, like, tipping the ball and playing left-handed. Like, you can do anything. You just have to believe that and then get to work. And just, there's workarounds to everything, like, if you have a limitation, whether it's an injury or whatever, like, it's your job to find a workaround. And something that I so respect of my husband, we're the same height, and he's considered smaller on the guy's side. I'm considered kind of giant, right? And he's the giant killer because he would just crack the egg. Like if he gets stuff hidden on the line, he'd be like, okay, that didn't work. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. He has so many tools in his toolkit, and that's what being injured taught me. And that's something that I really want to encourage to you guys. Cause when I, even like up to like 3 years ago, until I had this talk with my husband, if someone dug me or stuffed me, I'm like, they have me figured out. What is that? And it would be like, it would make me question myself instead of being like, oh, they got me there. I'm like this. It's my job to crack this egg. And it's a game, you know, it's like, you're not going to be perfect and you have all these tools. But if you get caught up in the like mental part of it, you're not going to have access to them. So it's become a fun thing of like me against you, my tools against yours. If I can be in the moment with my breath, with my focus, then I can overcome anything and I'll have access to all the tools. And again, being injured reinforced all that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This kind of awareness that you have, this mindfulness and awareness that you have around how you respond to situations and what's in your control and what's not, it's so empowering to hear you talk about. Is this something that, when did you develop this? Like, how were you when you were a younger player? Did you have this kind of awareness? How did it come about?
You know, it's such a question. I don't know when it showed up, you know, but I've always been like I've always just focused on me, because in my life, I want to be autonomous. Like I want freedom. In my family, I always wanted to hold up my end of the bargain. You know, I wanted to do more than expected on my teams. I want to be the best teammate. I want to be relied upon, and I want to be able to rely on myself, you know, and none of that can happen unless I am like settled within. You know, if I'm waiting for outside circumstances or outside adoration or people who love and believe in me to come from the outside to make an impact in my, like, that's like very conditional and it's really floppy. It's not stable. And so at some point I had this realization, and when my later years, I worked with my performance psychologist, and he made me understand that confidence comes from one place and one place only. And it's the way you talk to yourself. So your self-talk is the most important thing that you can do. And it's the number one indicator for your stability with self-confidence. And I love that. And that's like data, that's science, that's been, you know, studied and measured. And so I think it just helped me reinforce the way I'm naturally built. Sorry. You want to say hi? Can you say hi? This is the future, girls. After you guys. And so self-awareness is, I feel like if we can all develop our self-awareness, coach, it's such a tool for mastery. It's such a tool for triumph in any situation, you know, because if you can take a pause, like in a game, and be like, oh, I'm nervous. Okay, let me take that deep breath. Okay, I'm like, you know, like getting anxious. Let me go and shake my energy. Go tell my partner or teammate a joke. Let me call a timeout. Let me like reset. That's in our hands. You know, it's kind of the same thing. It's like focus on what you can control. If you can develop your self-awareness, again, it just allows you to control all of your resources and not be victim to the situation or to the anxiety. You know, I want to be free in my life. I want autonomy. And again, nothing is going to give me that, but something within, you know, so.
Thank you. And now, if you don't mind, I would like to bring some of our players off mute to ask some questions that they sent in. So Fernando, I think I might need your help to do this. Is he on still? Fernando?
Yep. Just
okay,
let me know what name and then we'll unmute. They can unmute themselves also.
Okay. Yep. So Ziana Merchant, are you on right now?
Dearly.
Hi, Ziana.
Are you there? Okay.
She muted herself back. I unmuted her. Yeah.
Okay, let's try Annabelle. Annabelle, yep. Are you on right now?
Hi.
Hello.
My question is, how do you mentally prepare for games and practices?
Annabelle, what a good question. So something that I do that I want to be in life, like we're talking about mastery, the masters are all very consistent. And I believe, and I know, and I've studied the masters, that they show up consistently in practice because they want to practice how they compete. They don't want to be a totally another human when they show up to compete in a game, right? And so for me, how I prepare before a practice, the same thing with how I prepare for a game. The one thing that I used to have all these rituals, like I have to wear certain scrunchies and take a shower and do all these ridiculous things. And that became exhausting in a job, and I got rid of them. And now the only thing that I have to do, aside from jog, stretch, and pepper, and get ready, is I have 10 to 15 minutes of stillness, like total quiet time, no music, no talking to my partner, no nothing. I find a shady spot under a tree, or I go to the corner of a gym and I sit there with myself. In the first 5 minutes, I'm literally just like breathing in through my nose, out through my mouth, getting really just calm and centered. The next 5 minutes, I'm talking to God. Hey, let's go do this. Let's have fun. If you're not spiritual, like I also set intentions, I kind of imagine how I want to feel out there, who I want to be. And then the last 5 minutes, I'm like visualizing, I'm visualizing my perfect path, how I want to wait on my approach, wait on my setting approach, how I want to serve, just the basics, because I want to get that in my brain, because mental reps, your body doesn't know the difference between a mental rep and a real rep. So I try to live in victory before I compete, and I try to live in greatness, in the mastery of my skills before I compete as well. And then I get to it. But so talking about the self-confidence, that only comes from within. So our self-talk is so important, right? And a lot of us are like, I'll work on my self-talk and I'll work on my mental training in games. That does not work. We need to train our mental, emotional, and physical, tactical stuff in training, just how we're going to compete. Because in competition, and when you're under pressure, you're going to fall to the level of your training. And if you're not taking the time to commit to train, your self-talk, your mindset, your ability to pivot and be back in the moment with your breath, whatever it is, if you're not doing that in practice, there's no way you're going to be able to rely on that in games. And so, Annabelle, I take that time of stillness in games if I'm getting wonky, or if I feel like just out of rhythm, out of sorts, or not confident. I focus on my breath. If you can nasal breathe in times of stress, it literally tells your nervous system you're safe. You can be here, which allows all of your senses to expand and take everything in. When we're stressed, we kind of get laser vision, tunnel vision, and we get tight. So being able to breathe through your nose, look to the horizon, both of those things just open up your senses and allow you to feel safe again, so you can be in the moment. The people who are best can pivot from a mistake or a point back to the moment, because the moment is our only source of power. It's the only place where we can affect the outcome. It's not 5 minutes ago, obviously. It's not 5 minutes from now. It's like this moment is where we create our future. So I need to live the moment purely and truly. And I train that way in practice. And in practice, it's cool because you're encouraged to fail in practice, right? It's like you're encouraged to push the outer edges of your potential, because that's where you're there to grow, and there's nothing on the line. So you can make more mistakes and be more free. So if you can take that time to consistently train your self-talk, to train your communication with your partners in weird situations, when your team, you just work on every aspect of the game in practice, like it's competition. Then when it comes time to compete, whether it's like the state finals or NCAA finals, Olympic gold medal, that's your default, because we become our habits. So, sorry, long answer, but that's kind of my process pre and during games.
Thank you, Kerri. And if you have time for one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Lily Beth, are you on? You want to unmute yourself? You can press the space button to unmute yourself. Lily Beth.
No stress.
I don't see her on.
No? Okay. Well, I'll ask her question for her. She was curious. I know there's going to be recording, so maybe she'll see after. And I know other people are interested as well. So what kinds of values or character do you have that you would say helped you get to the Olympics?
Well, courage is my favorite virtue, because it's just about stepping up. I have a friend who says, you got to seek the fight in life, and that to me just means stepping up to the challenge, shoulders, up, like ready, like chin up, like ready to go. And courage is fueled by heart. And I think great things can only be accomplished if your heart is in it, you know, and I am a very heart-fueled person. I feel like I try to live my life with courage, doing the uncomfortable, being consistent when I don't want to, raising my hand when I'm uncomfortable, you know, these things that are going to challenge me and that are going to make my universe better. Courage is my favorite virtue. Kindness, I feel like kindness has allowed me, and open-mindedness has allowed me to develop great relationships, and the relationships of my journey have been the best part of the journey times a billion. Relationships really matter. The connection you have with your coach, with your teammates really matter, you guys. And the connection you have with your life off the court really, really matters. Like, I won a gold medal and was so focused on winning gold medal that for 4 years, that's all I could think about. We won, so happy. And I almost lost my husband. Like, I was so disconnected from my family and from like my truest priority because I was just focused on the outcome. So I think the secret to life is to pursue goals that are lofty, that challenge you, that are meaningful to you, but never lose sight of life, you know, and your people. And it's totally possible. It's really challenging because it's never going to be linear, you know, and it's never going to be equal in the scales. Like, you just have to keep hitting those buckets, whatever your buckets are. And then something that I'm really proud of is that I'm really consistent. Like, I show up because I really care. Like, if I tell you I love you, I really love you, even when you're an a-hole. If I say I'm in it, like, I'm in it even when my shoulder's falling off, even when I'm failing, even when I can't even stand my partner, like, I'm in it, you know. And I know 100% that the hard times are there so you grow through your craft, and you grow as a human, and you grow as a craftsman, whatever it is. And my life has shown me that over and over and over. So those are, I think, some of my qualities that I appreciate that have, you know, kind of led me down this path. And, you know, there's 24 character strengths that we all have. And, you know, certain ones shine brighter or dimmer than others, but we all have 24 of those strengths to develop in ourselves. And I think for me, I'm curious about my strengths and my weaknesses. And curiosity is one of my favorite things in life. The people who live inspired lives are really curious people. And it keeps them timeless and young. And I want to be that. It keeps them pursuing, which I think if you have something that you're going to pursue that means something to you, your life, whether you're 99 or 5, is going to be beautiful, you know?
Oh, I love that. Lily Beth is actually on, and she says, thank you for the heartfelt sharing of what was most important for you, Kerri.
Oh, you're welcome.
So yeah, we so appreciate your time. You're such an inspiration for me and so many others up and coming in the volleyball realm. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
No, thank you, Coach. I really appreciate it. Would you mind if I took a couple minutes to talk about our training camp?
Absolutely. Yeah. Go for it.
So I want to tell you too. So
I've been doing time, but go for it. Sorry, I think you're
no, I'll be quick. Sorry.
Go for it.
And I really think it'll be beneficial. Like, everything we talked about, body, mind, spirit, volleyball, is in our training camps. And we have 2 offerings. One's called the Fundamentals and one's called Unleashed. They both cover everything we talked about. Unleash is a little bit more dynamic. It's supposed to get you more tournament ready, because hopefully we can play tournaments at least sometime this summer. We'll see. But the volleyball is led by Stein Metzger, who's the head coach of UCLA Beach Volleyball, and then our Brazilian coaches on our staff who are incredible. The strength training, you get a 4-week strength training block or a 3 work with a 3 with Unleashed, and it's my trainer of 20 years, Tommy Knox. So you will leave stronger and with the program, which is so incredible. And then we do mindfulness every day. And it's a really safe community. There's a lot of engagement between us and the coaches and you guys. And if it resonates at all, please just check it out, p1440.camp. It's really cool because it just meets you where you're at. Like, we had a 10-year-old do the last program and she was killing it. We had a 50-year-old man who wanted to lose 20 pounds, killed it. I was doing it. I got stronger and I got better ball control. So you're going to get what you put into it. But it's developed to be customized, and then you're just supposed to, you know, crush it if you want to. So please check it out. No pressure ever. But other than that, I'm grateful. Thank you for being so engaging, Shanti. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for your thoughtful questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. And
yeah.
One last question. Anywhere we can find information on the 24 characteristics? What were you referring to?
Yeah, well, So I'm on the board of the Positivity Project. So it's positivity. It's either just Google that, the Positivity Project. And it's the curriculum they have in schools for kids, and but it's like mind blowing. It's so cool. And it's such great team building stuff. And it really, one of their taglines is other people matter. And encourages you to know your character strengths and then to see them in other people. And it's just the coolest thing. And if you can develop that again within your family, within your team, like it makes you rejoice in other people's greatness. And just like, you can be like, hey, I see this in you, and kind of encouragement is such a beautiful gift. I don't think that we need to live in that more. And especially you as a coach, and you as a teammate, like there's such an opportunity for all of us to encourage greatness or whatever it is in other people. And the character strengths are just like an easy thing to be like, oh, I see that in you. Do you know that about yourself?
Love it. Thank you so much, Kerri.
You're welcome. God bless you guys. Stay safe. Wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you.
You
Thank
guys.
you.
Yeah.
Work out for me.
Thank you.